And we've made it. This is a lot more comfortable than it looks, you know. Welcome back. Whose idea was this? Yeah, so Thursday doesn't really feel right without live streaming. So although we hadn't got anything planned, we have sort of got something planned. Chill out. See what happens. See what falls. Where it lies. And if we can make some sense of anything, really. 2026, they say. Doesn't feel that different, does it? Hi, folks. Hello. Yes. Hello, everybody. Good to have you there, or here, there, and everywhere. Oh, what a few weeks it's been. Lots to talk about, more than you'd think. But I think we're doing a sort of chilled out way. Got a couple of people to bring on who've been game enough to answer the call, ready to chill out, chill down with me. First of all, who else but our Charlotte?
Hello, everybody.
There she is.
Hello, I'm in a different room, even though I've still got my lovely white background, which I know people love. So you'll have to let me.
Disconcerting, Charlotte. You've not been kidnapped.
No, well, in my house there's been a bit of shifting, so my usual room is currently a temporary bedroom. So you'll have to let me know if the lighting's okay, because I've shifted stuff around a little bit up here.
We can see you just fine. So I haven't just got Charlotte. We've managed to reach out as well across the Atlantic to the one man who wears hats better than I do, and certainly has a lot more of them. Gary Akers. Hi, Gary.
Greetings. Hi, Dan. Hi, Charlotte.
Hiya.
I like your new room because there's like more shadows. It's kind of like a Fritz Lang movie. It's very cool.
I literally was like, I sat on the desk and you could hardly see me. So now I've got a light above me and a little lamp, which I'll show you guys, which is like here, which I'm trying to get it.
Charlotte's
nice.
showing us behind the scenes.
This is what they call inside baseball, I understand.
That's right.
It is.
Inside baseball.
It's pretty overcast and rainy here today. I'm sure it probably is for the both of you. So
rainy? God, go straight into the weather stuff. It's pissing down out there.
Oh, really?
Again.
Okay.
It is positively biblical out there right now, and obviously being British, we're keeping our peckers up. Well, in the nicest possible way, to get out and about. But there's only so far you can go, Charlotte. I mean, I know you're sort of learning to drive, but this is what you've got awaiting you when you're out on the road. This is how it gets in Britain when we get even the slightest bit of rainfall. So it's not good, Gary. Not good.
Is that's not your car, is it, Dan?
Not yet. I'll be certain. Give it a couple of weeks. Give it a couple of hours, probably. It has been me on numerous occasions. Although I would like one of these umbrellas wherever this chick got picked that up from. That's pretty good.
I think you get those umbrellas from the same place that James Bond gets his Union Jack parachute. You know, the same store.
Your brain went there. I went to the Spice Girls with Ginger Spice.
Oh, well, that's a good place.
Stop my brain from going there, Charlotte.
That's a good place for your brain to go.
I'll be on the harder prescription if I start thinking about that too. Yeah. So it's all go here, and although we weren't meant to be sort of back just yet, things are sort of bubbling generally underneath there somewhere, but that could be the sewers. Now, things in Doctor Who are kind of bubbling away, and there's always plenty to talk about. You've got good friends, and obviously this is me, according to Doctor Who Positivity. They know the truth that I've always been a twat. But fortunately for me, my friends here, Charlotte and Gary, they don't care about gossip and tittle tattle, do you? You don't believe Doctor Who Positivity, do you?
Well, I mean, I know that you can't put up the tweets from Doctor Who negativity. Unfortunately, I think those would get you yanked off YouTube.
I was going to say, Gary, that's not one handle. That's multiple Doctor Who fans online right now. You don't need a handle for that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. So, how is 2026 treating you so far, guys? You okay?
Well, this week I've had a bit of a cold, so that's been the start of my 2026.
If I had to be completely honest, I'm ready for 2027.
Already.
put it on skip. Yeah, we did ask our expert there whether he recommended sticking around or not. Well, something has got me in a better frame of mind today. I have to say, because I've seen the trailer to the new Masters of the Universe movie an hour or two ago with this new guy, Nicholas Gazaldine, I think his name is Galzatine, playing He-Man, and Jared Leto, who was okay as the Joker about 10 years ago, and he's been in the Tron, the third Tron movie. Here he's playing Skeletor. Has either of you caught this trailer yet for the Masters of the Universe film?
I'd seen that image of Skeletor, and I was like, at least he looks scary. Like, they needed him to look scary.
Yeah.
That was the thing I got from just the image that I saw online.
I have not seen it. Is it a full trailer or a teaser?
Full trailer, about 2.25 minutes long.
Okay.
It is absolutely spectacular.
Really?
I was a Transformers kid more than a Motu kid, but this did make me feel like I was about 8 years old again. It was fantastic.
I remember, Dan, was it about like a year ago when we covered some of the early stills on the Saturday Spacebook, and they all looked kind of dubious a little. We were going, I don't know, but I guess that just proves that you can't tell from early stuff.
No,
Well,
they
I
were just
can
filming it.
from the trailer, from what I understood from like early synopsis and stuff, like talk, that they were gonna set this in modern day. I heard that, but I didn't know if it was actually gonna do that.
It starts on Earth in 2026, I would imagine.
Right.
Yeah, so that is part of the lore, though, because in the original series, Prince Adam, aka He-Man, his ancestry may be in another world, but he's sort of part human as well. I think his mother is a human being. She was an astronaut from the near future, I think, as it was in the 80s, so probably about now. So she was an astronaut, and she found herself on Eternia, where she was courted by King Randor, and yeah, so he knocked her up, and that's how Adam was sort of brought into the world. So it is all part of the lore, but they're kind of mixing it up, I suppose, to do that whole sort of fish out of water thing, I suppose. It's I mean, it looks incredible. I won't spoil it for you if you haven't seen the trailer yet, Gary, but Castle Grayskull, this is really strange because all the shit that it's meant to be the thing in this one, Castle Grayskull looks like Castle Grayskull.
Okay, like this. Okay, wow. I mean, this is what we're looking at right now is gorgeous. I mean, it's great. So let me ask you, I know that it's kind of unfair to compare a 2-minute trailer to an entire movie that you've seen, but just from the look and the feel, how would you say this rates against the 1980s movie?
Oh well, yeah. There was a Masters of the Universe film Charlotte made in 1987. It starred the enormous actor Dolph Lundgren, if you've not seen it. But it was, and even though he played a character called He-Man, and there was a Skeletor in it, and it was vaguely the same. I've got a soft spot for that movie, but it wasn't Masters of the Universe. It was sort of something else. It was bits of this and bits of that and bits of the other. It was a massive compromise. At times, it almost felt to me like it was embarrassed to be Masters of the Universe, which is, considering you got Dolph Lundgren walking around in a pair of tiny furry underpants. Yeah, they might as well have gone all out with it. So to me, this looks considerably better than that old movie. Considerably better.
Well, here's the thing. I do think, like, people have been saying the superhero stuff is dying, and like the audiences have just sort of hit peak. We've seen it all now. I do think fantasy. I've thought this for a while, and this isn't just because it's my sort of genre. I think people want the sort of the thing with fantasy, which is back to going with dragons, and like you said, that whole aesthetic, which is very striking and very different. And I think films are going to go back to that a little bit.
They haven't eviscerated fantasy franchises yet to the extent that they've eviscerated
That's
sci-fi
true as well.
franchises.
To me, so far, this speaks of fantasy escapism and childhood and wonder, all of those things. But it does seem like something. It seems like a family movie rather than a kids movie. Was the vibe that I'm getting. And in the '87 film, obviously because of the limitations of what they could do on really quite a small budget, because it was a Golem Globus film, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was canon, wasn't it?
Yeah, things like that. There was only so much that they could achieve, and the limits of effects back then. But this looks apparently it's quite a modestly budgeted film. It's not Avengers Doomsday, but it looks like they put the money in the right places, and yeah, everybody looks like who they're meant to look like. And I suppose now in 2026, Skeletor is as recognizable as He-Man, probably more so, from kind of meme culture.
Well, you had those adverts of Skeletor years ago. Even I remember them, when it was like he was singing and being daft in them.
It's a character that everybody recognizes, I suppose, for one thing or another.
Yeah, is this coming out in the earlier part of the year or later?
June, apparently. So it's not a huge wait. And I like the fact that we don't seem to have as long to wait before, because at one time they put a trailer out for a film and it'd say coming in a year and a half's time. You think, what? Oh, wake me up when it's out next week. I'm not interested.
Yeah,
and there'll probably be another 2 or 3 more trailers, but I don't need to see any more now. For me, I've seen enough. I feel that this has captured enough of this that I'm going to be a relatively happy camper, I think. But obviously, results may vary on that. So nobody of any great note is in it, but they have got gorgeous Alison Brie is playing Evil Lynn, and Idris Elba is playing Man-at-Arms, and they've sort of attached all bits of sort of weaponry to him, and he's got the silly hat on and all that kind of thing. They're really going for broke with this. So, I'm all for that. I mean, when Doctor Who came back 20 odd years ago now, I liked one big thing I liked about that, and that I agreed with Russell about completely, was to go for the silly rubber monsters right away. Some characters like the Slovene with their bulgy eyes and claw-like hands, just own it. It's inherently silly. Just own it and go for it. And to me, that looks what this Motu film is doing.
I'd almost love to see almost like a really high quality animated movie that looks just like this picture.
Well, the best cartoon series I've ever seen quality-wise was the Netflix Masters of the Universe Revelation series from about 3 or 4 years ago. But obviously, it just looked incredible. But the writing, it's not that the writing wasn't there, the writing was ideological. And so it's Kevin Smith and Mark Bernard who... they killed off He-Man at the end of the first episode, and then it became sort of a feminist sort of fable. And I gave up 2 episodes in. I gave up on that. This looks like it's not going to let us down at all. Travis Knight has made the new Masters of the Universe film, who made the Transformers movie Bumblebee a few years ago, and was responsible for the Box Trolls movie, Charlotte, if you remember that Leica made about 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I think the core thing with this, they need to just make it for the audience. And it's crazy to me that I feel like Hollywood and like TV, because they usually step in step with each other, has for the last 5+ years been trying to make everything bar the audience that wants it. Like they want to replace them, they want to look for other things. And when you do go, no, this is our sort of type of person who likes these movies, it's like, I saw Oscar nominations were out today, and what surprised me is that Jurassic World Rebirth got an Oscar nomination for visual effects.
For Scarlett Johansson?
Not quite.
Oh, okay.
But the reason why I'm saying that is because you can tell in that movie, they were like, what do people like about Jurassic World movies? Dinosaurs. What are we going to make sure all those sequences with the dinos look gorgeous and they feel like animals again, they feel like creatures, and they've been I'm very happy that they got recognized for it. Even if they don't win it, I think it's a big thing that they even got nomination when that came out today.
Is your favorite dude up for an award at all? What's his name? The guy with the The bloke out of Wicked.
Wait, who's that?
Jonathan Bailey.
Jonathan Bailey.
The thing is, it's against Avatar, and I also really don't want Avatar to win because I have a...
Wait, Avatar's not for Best Picture, is it?
No, it's for Best Visual Effects. They're in the same category. And I'm just like, oh, don't give it to Avatar, please.
Yes, so I'm stoked. I mean, about this. Can't wait to see Masters of the Universe up on the big screen. I have the power and all that jazz. I think we got some comments about that. Strangely enough, I mean, I was going to lead straight into talking about Doctor Who, but I think people are very happy talking about Masters of the Universe. So let's take some comments and see what people are saying so far before we get into the Who. This looks promising. Says, I am your servant. The stream or the trailer? There, I am your servant. Which one? Let's know. Yeah, so we're chilling out here. I thought that trailer was an AI spoof, says David Mullen. Have you seen this? Have you seen the same trailer that I've seen? Funky says, I'm not sure I want to watch that trailer at the moment. Well, if you've made your mind up that you're going to see the film, actually in this instance, it doesn't tell you anything about the real plot. It just gives you a flavour of the tone and the look of it. So there probably will be another 2 or 3 trailers between now and release. And to be honest, I might not watch any more trailers because I'm definitely going now. I'm 100% going to see this movie. So I don't need to see any more.
So was this more of like an awareness type of trailer? Let people know, hey, it's coming? No, serious question. Where it's not like, here's the whole plot. I believe that's what these trailers, the first trailers, are for now. I think it's a way of signaling to the audience, particularly when you're talking about a franchise like this, it's safe to look. I think that's okay. That's fair.
That's the impression that I get. Stephen Braddock says, I can't wait for 2027 because it would mean the Doctor Who Christmas special would have been gone. I mean, you can always just not watch it, mate. And David says, yeah, Masters of the Universe was always going to be a tough film to make. They've been trying to make it for 20 years. John Woo had the rights for a long, long time. I can't even remember who it was with last. Netflix, I think, were the last people to have it. They even cast somebody to play the part. I can't remember the name of the actor now, but they went in. There was a big press release, and the film never happened in the end. And that poor guy, I think he's still doing quite well, but that was all scrapped. This is much bigger. This is Amazon and MGM, so it'll be in the cinemas in the summer. Evening, everybody, says Adrian James. Funky says, it'll never beat the Dolph Lundgren movie in my mind. Well, look, if you were 6 when this came out, you know, you might not be convinced. I was a bit older than that. I was like 12, 13. So, to me, that movie never cut. I do like the film, but this looks considerably better, in my opinion. Stephen says, the new Masters trailer is absolutely fantastic, spot on as a live-action version of the original cartoon. See,
that's how I think a lot of old-time fans are going to measure it. It's like, does this look like I'm going to get a live-action version of the cartoon that I loved? I think that's going to be people's standard.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be, do these characters sort of resonate and feel like the 80s versions as well?
Yeah.
All the fun of the fair. Woodhouse122 says, people are done with superhero movies. I have a feeling Avengers Doomsday is going to tank. What's your instinct, Charlotte?
I don't think it will tank, because I think there's enough curiosity factor, weirdly enough, from the old cast, like the X-Men cast, which haven't been in these movies before. And I feel like Doomsday is like this desperate thing where they're just dragging everything they can possibly do with this movie. So it might just get some curiosity sort of viewings, I think. But I don't think it's going to be mega money again.
Yeah, they are. They're grabbing this and that character from there and that him from there and that from that universe. It's like my brother when he goes to Toby Carver. He just grabs everything as soon as he can.
Well, I mean, considering this cast, if they want, it's going to have to be an 8-hour movie, or else everybody's only going to get like 2 minutes of screen time. But with the budget, which I'm sure that we're never going to hear the actual budget on this thing. I think everybody on the planet is going to have to go see it 5 times in order for it to make any money.
Yeah, I think half of that is just the Robert Downey Jr.'s
That's
paycheck.
Right. That's right.
That budget currently right now.
Yeah, that's just his account at Greg's. Stephen O'Neill reminds us that in the End of Time Doctor Who episode, I remember Doctor Who, I've forgotten all about that. The Doctor calls the Master Skeletor. Yeah, I had forgotten about that, Stephen, so thank you. Forgotten all about that. And
well, hey,
Funky
Dan,
asks,
maybe it's a hit, Dan. Maybe there'll be like a resurgence in the merchandise. No, seriously. I mean,
I think it's possible. I mean, I think this is likely to find an audience because it's been sensibly budgeted and they're aiming it at the right people. I think I'd like to have another child just to take to go and see this film. That'd be pretty good. Funky says, did anyone else see the early 2000s cartoon remake? It was quite good. Yeah, I loved that one as well. It was really good. It was very kind of like the sword was absolutely massive and everything was that bit more. I wouldn't say it was over-designed, but it was very early noughties. It's slightly influenced by anime. So I did like that one. I did kind of like that one.
And a full-on anime Masters of the Universe would be something.
Well, they did a couple of years ago a Thundercat animation, which you could tell they clearly were anime fans who were behind it. It wasn't strictly an anime, but you could see the influence really clearly.
I like that too. He-Man, as in for a male fan base, says Matthew Pounder. Well, it's a male power fantasy, isn't it? There's female characters in it. There's witches and princesses and champions as well. I mean, Teela's a fantastic character. So is Evil Lynn. There's lots of them there, but it is mostly it's a lads and dads franchise, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We've got lots of comments here. Rose Kirby asks, "Hey, will there be any Doctor Who chat?" I thought I'd come to the wrong place. Well, I can't promise, Rose.
We're building up your anticipation, Rose. Just stick with us.
Because obviously this is not our usual programming. Just got the three of us kind of chilling out, hanging out. Because certainly where Charlotte and I am, it's it's pissing down out there, and so we're just as we're safe in the warm, aren't we? In the warm and the dry.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just speaking about whatever's on our mind.
Say, Dan, you weren't waiting for a delayed train today. That was my day today.
No, I've been spared. I've been spared that. We have Doctor Who talk coming up, Rose, but yeah, we're on the chill stream. We do literally just chill out and talk about whatever is on our mind. Don't get me started on Transformers, Funky. It really will be 10 o'clock before we get off that. Same with Battle of the Planets, all of these things. I was read on this stuff. Got all the box sets in my library up there. Good stuff. We've got Transformers deep dives in the live chat as well. Yeah, we'll leave that there and get back to the good doctors. Or the good, when I say the good doctors, I mean the good doctors. There they are. We wouldn't have it any other way, would we? I suppose right now, this is how it gets when I'm all chilled out. I completely forget to play this. Yes, but my tuner has been sort of pointed in the direction of the Whoniverse a little over the last week or two. It's been very, very quiet. But there are rumblings, signals out there. It may not all be bad either, which would make a big change for Doctor Who. I mean, a few weeks ago, we complained very publicly about someone being a bit of a merchant banker. Not controversial at all. But if you remember when we talked a bit about Oliver Cole and their publicity stunt from a couple of months ago there on the TARDIS set, each of us, we'd complained, hadn't we, about how, that clip that Russell put together for Oliver Cole's birthday that they dropped, if not actually on Doctor Who Day, but thereabouts, seemed a bit sort of ill-timed and, how can I put this?
Just odd that it got put out with any real explanation for what it was as well.
Yeah. And given the fact that we don't want to come across, do we, as total party poopers, as just mean-spirited people. I think I don't know if you saw this, but I was delighted to see this, a child. To me, this is what it should be. This is what Tours of the TARDIS should be. A child gets to have her dream come true and spend a bit of time on the set of the TARDIS there at the hospitality of Bad Wolf Studios. I mean, there's no accounting for taste, and whoever this young lady is, a choice of attire. There's still time to send us some DVDs and some Blu-ray boxes.
That's triggering. That's triggering attire for you, Dan.
Send her a care package for fuck's sake. But no, it says here. Thank you so much for BBC and Doctor Who for inviting me. My BF. Is that boyfriend or best friend? Could be both.
Neither.
Could be either or. Such an incredible experience. Yeah. Best day of my life, she says. I will never get over this. Prepare to get... This is what it should be. A young cosplayer. Nice. This is exactly the point that we were trying to make in that conversation a couple of months ago, really, wasn't it, Gary?
Yeah, it's very sweet. And I'm sure absolutely heartfelt too. I mean, look at all those exclamation points. And that's great, and she'll probably be putting out a lot of stuff on her page or tweeting out, and it's like, you're right, this is what it should be.
Yeah, and I think the Shooty run or his era was missing a lot of this fan interaction. I know I said it a few times on streams. He needed to be with fans more. He needed to have that connection, and I do think half of that was on the production and Russell for not organising that and not facilitating that. And then half of it, the actor sort of has to have a bit of momentum themselves to want to do it. And I just feel like the era felt so cold at times because it didn't have that connection with the fan base, I think. And having them on the set like this really is sort of makes that connection even more special, I think. And makes sort of like you said, she'll never forget that day because it would be sort of, I've been there, I've been on the TARDIS, and that's something we all would adore as fans.
And Shooty didn't want to make the actual show, so he's unlikely to want to have spent any more time there than was necessary showing children around, is he? I suppose that was probably part of it. Now I'm slagging off Shooty Gatwa.
Well, you said that if Russell should have done more like this. Charlotte, if Russell had been there, he would be in the foreground smiling and she doing a selfie, and she would be way in the background.
Probably with the way Russell is nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't think he wanted to interact with the fans, speculates Farsight there, who's watching on YouTube, and Funky simply says, she's young. You'll learn. Got several comments like that, but yeah, to me this is the good stuff. This is what sort of keeps the faith a little. I think that the flame may not be completely extinguished. The fact that this young lady wants to do that, and they've done it for her as well. This is what it should be all. Was it Whitney Houston that said, "I believe the children are our future"? It could be the case with the Doctor Who fandom as well. I don't know. Same with this fabulous piece of fan art. This is a Dalek mutant, artist unknown from out there in the universe. But this made me laugh too. This, again, kind of, I don't know, just really nourishing stuff, very innocent and playful. It kind of lines up with what we were saying about the Masters of the Universe trailer being released today. So you're in a child. Let it loose with this stuff.
Yeah.
When did it all get so bogged down, so serious, such hard work, I think is what I'm saying, Charlotte.
Yeah, and this is why I think Doctor Who needs to always have creatures and aliens and weird things on screen, because artists love to draw that stuff, especially when they can do their own little take on it. And that, to me, that's what that looks like. It's somebody's own almost version of a Dalek mutant, which is lovely to see.
Here's what I love, and whenever, Dan, you show art, there's always like something I find that I kind of like zoom in on, and I thought that's really kind of telling. So if you could put that back up, I'll tell you the thing that I was really noticing, and that tells me that whoever was the young artist on this likes to think outside the box and do different things. The fact that instead of an eyeball, there's just like 4 dots, which I've never seen like in an eye. And I thought that's the young artist trying to do something. It's like, oh, everybody does eyes. I'm going to do something different, which is really cool. You get four dots and then just a straight line. I think that's cool instead of just normal eyeballs.
So if you are out there, if you're the artist behind this bit of fan art, show yourself, reveal yourself. and we'll credit you by all means. But yeah, I just thought this was wonderful. I do keep an eye on social media and see what's happening with Doctor Who, but so much of it is so depressing. There was an advert today for the latest edition of that Whoniverse show. God, I can't even be bothered to talk about that.
Are they still doing that?
It seems so. And that was on the official social medias as well. But they have kind of redeemed themselves with a tribute to a fallen hero. There's a post up about the late John Hurt.
Oh, okay.
It would have been John Hurt's 78th birthday today. They've started referring to them on social media as heavenly birthdays, haven't they? And the official page put up this simple sort of set of images here from the day of the Doctor. I thought, how strangely respectful and tasteful from the official social medias. Nobody's in drag. There's no recipe for a cake with no more written on it or something like that. It's just, remember that guy? Remember that episode? Remember how it made you feel? Remember him.
I like how it's just really simple, but those dialogue moments that hit you with the War Doctor there. Yeah,
wonderful.
Those are the images. I mean, and the fact that he's smiling in the final image as well there. I just thought, it's just great. It's great. We were lucky to have had him. I mean, we could complain about that. His screen time comes to about 40 minutes at the most. We were lucky to have him at all, weren't we, when you think about it?
Especially if you hear Moffat talk about how they got him. It was very last minute, the way Moffat describes it.
It really, I mean, the Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary special, didn't need any more fanfare, but when the fact that they got John Hurt for this role kind of kicked it up to an entirely different level.
John Hurt was fantastic as the War Doctor, says Stephen in the live chat. Yeah. I can't believe he's been gone for as long as he has. This is 9 years now since John Hurt passed away. What a legend. I mean, I rewatched Alien again recently, and I'm about to start watching the Harry Potter movies again, because he was, I won't say he's an integral part of that, but he's a memorable part of the expanded cast of those movies, isn't he, Charlotte? He plays the guy in the wand shop, is it?
Yeah, he was Ollivander. So he was in the first movie, and I think they brought him back for like the last movie. So yeah, he was sort of Harry's first steps into the wizarding world. So as a kid, you were sort of with Harry, and to have this sort of wise old man figure, which is what Ollivander was. But then for me, he was a big thing for me was Merlin, because he was the voice of the dragon in that. And like, that was another thing when he was this sort of mentor role. But the fun of the dragon character was half the time he spoke in riddles. And he was sort of,
remember?
He wasn't quite telling the whole story to Merlin, and Merlin got annoyed at him a lot of the time. So that was a fun part he had in that.
Are you a big Harry Potter fan, Charlotte? Did you read those books when they first came out?
Oh, I would say, honestly, my first proper fandom I probably got involved with was Harry Potter, because I read the books, I watched the movies, I played the game that they did a couple of years ago and I absolutely loved it, because it was original story, and I could be in Hogwarts in my game, I could make my character and do all the fun stuff, which as a fan you go, I want to do that. So it's sort of, like I said, the first thing, sort of fantasy world I got involved with, so it's got a real sort of place in my heart, the Potter stuff.
Depending on who you were, I suppose, which generation you belong to, Gary, what decade it was you first saw him in, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, or the noughties, is going to be what you associate John Hurt with, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that the first thing I ever saw him in was probably Alien. And then later on, years after that, when I was old enough to watch and appreciate I, Claudius, and he is just unforgettable in that.
Much missed still. But yeah, we were lucky to have what we did have of John Hurt with us in the Whoniverse. Yeah, we're keeping with Doctor Who here and there, mostly, as we chat here on Type 40 and Chill, a surprise live stream here for an extra Thursday. We've got, you're going to bring it sort of up to date in a little while, the Doctor and Ruby, and all things 2024, 2023, 2024, all of a sudden. Heaven knows what they'll make of all of that. Russell's out there in the trenches right now, ready to fight back on all of our nonsense, Charlotte, but we don't care, do we? We're here anyway.
I was going to say, he's got an odd companion in that picture, hasn't he? Is that meant to be Carol Vorderman?
Yeah, that's Vorders. That's Lieutenant Vorders, who's out there fighting the good fight alongside their fellow loony lefty Russell T Davies. There they are, fighting back, pushing back against all of our horrible nonsense that we spout on this show. So, yeah, he may have taken it personally. Who knows? Yes, Gary, I've noticed as well that you are wearing very distinctive colours today. And it reminds me a little bit of another franchise of Star Trek. There, you appear to be wearing a monster maroon in your.
Yes.
Is that
very
deliberate?
stylish?
You're wearing command colours.
Well, I guess it would be kind of like next gen kind of command colors. Red and I'm not an original series red shirt. This is not a red shirt. I do not want to be a red shirt from the original.
There, so you don't disappear in the middle of the stream.
Don't pick him off. Yeah, don't pick him off. Oh, you've changed the time. 7:30 says Cheryl. Yes, well we have, because we weren't going to do this, and then we were going to do something else, and then we decided to come live after all because we've got some things to talk about. We've been sent some information, very exciting. Stuff we can actually say for a change as well. So I get sent a lot of things, and not all of it I can talk about publicly. I'll end up in bloody court. But we can talk about this stuff because I know that the fandom are talking about the majority of it anyway. So I thought, well, rather than us talk about it sort of behind closed doors or pre-record something, we'll come and have a casual chat about it now and keep you guys in the loop. But we thought we'd try, because Charlotte, we'd want to avoid pumpkin time. So we thought we'll go at 7:30.
Absolutely.
Instead. We're all feeling a little bit miserable. But we've been talking a lot about bits and pieces. Yes, Charlotte, go on.
I was just going to say, we had so much fun explaining to Luke what pumpkin time was in our group chat. That was a very fun time.
I remember that. What's pumpkin time?
Yeah.
Well, Luke is on his way. Luke is flying back into the country right now. He's one of these jet setters that you'll hear about. He lives this kind of lifestyle. He's always on a plane somewhere, on a boat, or something.
He's been on a yacht in Cannes promoting his newest movie
at the international launch of the Hooligans.
That's right.
That's what it is. Out there with the boats and hose.
That's right. He's doing champagne parties on a yacht.
Yes. What he's actually been, he's been away with work, with his day job. So he's flying back into the country now as we speak. So we'll see how he fares when he gets back, and all of the other teammates as well. They're all sort of busy and things because we're not back with the full live stream for a little while. We thought we'd come and have a chat anyway. But Gary and I, we've been talking quite a lot about Star Trek lately, haven't we? I've been in a Star Trek frame of mind,
Well, unfortunately, the current Star Trek is not this. I only wish that it was. We are a far cry from Leonard Nimoy's Spock. A far cry.
We are. But I do want to thank everybody who's got behind the relaunch of Warp Drive, which is our sister show, our Star Trek podcast, which I started back in 2020-ish, and we've done been 2 seasons of it before, but it's something we only do sort of now and again, mainly because Star Trek has this habit of completely face planting as a franchise. So we've brought it back, and we've been live streaming it across both channels, and you guys have really supported it, and you've been commenting and watching it and all that kind of thing. We know there's a degree of crossover audience, but it's not massive. So thank you for everybody who's given Warp Drive a try now that it's streaming live on here on Saturday nights. Thank you. We're sticking around for the rest of Starfleet Academy. Believe it or not, Gary. So I've got Gary contractually.
Yeah, if you like spending a Saturday night watching YouTubers in near physical pain, join us on Saturday as we cover Starfleet Academy.
But we won't be streaming this to the Type 40 Live, to the Type 40 channel indefinitely. So if you look for Warp Drive Star Trek podcast on YouTube, you'll find it's already got its own YouTube channel up there. And I've been dropping all the old episodes, like 30 episodes of the podcast, the live streams that we did before from 2020 through to 2023. All of that is over on its own dedicated channel right now. And eventually we'll be moving everything over to there as well. So if you'll go over and go and subscribe and drop a comment and show us some more support. If you're a Star Trek fan, then keep an eye out over there. We'll have all the regulars, the people that we've currently got on the show. So Bolstrek, he's a regular on that show, of course, and the Rabbi and other people that we sort of pull in. But I'm working on others as well. Lots of people I know from out there in the Trek community and in Trek media too. So if you like a bit of Star Trek, it's not going to stay with Starfleet Academy. We're going to be all over the map.
Right.
So go and find us there on the Warp Drive channel.
So just to be clear with people, so if they may want to go check out Warp Drive, you were covering, for example, like Picard episode reviews, things like that, and
so the first batch we did myself, Keith Isles, Ian Diaz, and the Rabbi. We did Lower Decks season 1, and then we did the next block was Discovery season 3. Which kind of broke us, Charlotte. That show. So after that, we didn't make any for about 18 months, and then we did another block when Picard season 3. There was the final season of Picard turned out to be good, so we couldn't wait to talk about it. So we did another run of those. Right. So there's like 30, 35 episodes. Okay. So all of that is dropping on its own channel. So to be live streaming to the Spacebook channel and over to Warp Drive itself too. So if you like your Star Trek, it won't be here forever on the Type 40 channel. It's just for a little while here every Saturday evening. But thank you for the support so far. It's what I wanted to say. It's early days. Starfleet will get much worse yet. Yes, I am your servant. Thank you for spurring us on.
I've got to say, from people know I'm not a Star Trek person, but from just what I'm hearing about this show, I'm like, God love you guys for covering it each week. That's literally the main vibe I've got for you two.
So I will say, to get my full comments, all of you will have to tune in on Saturday. I will say that I did watch the 3rd episode this morning.
Oh, is it out now?
And it is by far the worst one yet.
There you go.
And I'm not kidding.
Thank you for that, Gary. Stephen O'Neill says, I prefer the original Star Trek. Well, most people do, to tell you the truth. In many respects, I do.
Yeah.
Ironically, shown the first Saturday after the War Games had finished on BBC One in 1969.
That's right.
But viewers only saw it in black and white. Yeah, typical BBC. They could have waited a few months.
And also, Stephen, aired I think it started airing on the BBC just after it finished its original run here on NBC here in the States. So it had just finished its, airing the final episode, and then it started in the UK.
Funky seems to have got his wires crossed there. Mixed signal. That new Trek was awesome. Spock really took command on that chair. So I think he may have gone somewhere else and gone to the Nerdrotic channel instead. Yes. With friend of the show, yes. Gary Beaker. Hi, Gary. Happy New Year, mate, and a nice one. Yeah, I think you could be right. It's been a long road getting from there to here, says Farsight, that's back to the woman in the rain earlier on, isn't it? It's
Ironically, now I just read now that one of the things that really, to my great surprise and appreciation, Enterprise now apparently is really having a resurgence on streaming. Good. People going to that, absolutely good, and rediscovering that, because I think that's a far underrated entry in the franchise.
Academy is something you could only make if you had an actual successful main Trek show to spring off. It cannot stand on its own as the main Trek show. Well, I think arguably the main Trek show, to be fair to them, is Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Right. Yeah.
That's hot. It's not a widely watched show, but no Star Trek show for 20 years has been that widely watched. That's their flagship show. So this is meant to be kind of what you're pointing to, David, but obviously it's incredibly expensive. So
yeah.
Yes, we'll be resuming coverage of that on Saturday. Yes, so Chris will be back. The Rabbi will be back, and we'll be sure to let fly with all of our torpedoes.
I do want to give a recommendation to Charlotte. Charlotte, if you have occasion to sit down and actually watch Starfleet Academy, it occurred to me this week. It occurred to me this week. No, it occurred to me this week that the best way to watch this, and the only way this show makes sense, is you have to watch it as a comedy. If you watch it thinking it's a comedy or a parody, then it's more tolerable than sitting there mind-boggled that that it's actually a serious attempt at Star Trek. As a comedy, watch it that way. Maybe that will help you digest it a little bit better.
Nicholas here says there's nothing Doctor Who related at this year's Toy Fair again. I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, was there like 2 images last year? One of a Shooty Gatwood Barbie figure, and the other one was of a purple sonic screwdriver thingy, and that was that.
Oh, was it not a Millie's? Is that when we saw the because it boggled my mind that it took them about a year to get a Shooty figure out, and I think it was a Ruby figure. I don't think we've had a Belinda one. I think it was a Ruby one last year.
I'm not sure what they do. I mean, what would they do? Would they give us like a new Omega figure, like the updated Omega, or like the updated Sutek? I'm not really sure.
Remember the big turd with a face? He was good, wasn't he?
or Gary. Maybe they could have done a Mrs. I forgot her surname. This is how good the character was written. Mrs.
Flood?
Dobbs. No, that's the actress, isn't it? Anita Dobbs' character.
Oh, Mrs.
See, I know who you mean, but I think it's funny
watching
you trying
Flood?
to get there.
I don't even remember either.
That's it.
Flood?
No.
Okay.
Whoever she were, her in the police uniform, maybe that could be the next action figure.
There you go. Sells itself, doesn't it? That'll get us in. Yeah, Al Dewar, character. Speak to Charlotte, she'll sort your ranges out. You'll get it done. Yeah, Mrs. Flood.
Mrs. Flood.
People in the live chat, right?
That's how well she was written, folks. I literally couldn't remember her surname.
Well, you know what? Maybe they could do like a double box set with the 2 Ronnies, Charlotte. You know, have the 2 Ronnies side by side.
Why haven't they ever done? I mean, I know it'd be a tough sell for character. I'm not sure how they'd work it into the Doctor Who range. A two Ronnies double action figure set. I would buy that, but you'd have to have both Ronnies in the same box with a lot of accessories as well. So the box of 4 candles and things like that. I'd want that. You could swap them out in their overalls. I suppose there'd have to be one of Ronnie Barker in drag. You could swap that out as well. That'd be good.
You know what? I wonder.
Figures?
Wouldn't that be? Seriously, I mean, they don't, because of course, you know, we know that all the genre like sci-fi fantasy gets figures. Why don't they do figures for like non-genre shows like that? Like, I don't know, some of the other great British comedies. Like,
I demand my 2 Ronnies action figure set and character options.
Dan, here's what I think would sell, honestly. You get like a Faulty Towers lobby set and the 4 figures of Basil and his wife and Manuel and stuff, but have the set be the lobby, and they're all standing there in the lobby at the desk. That would sell. You know that would sell.
I'm thinking, remember the Death Star action figure set from the late 70s, early 80s? Split level Faulty Towers set. So you get the 4 regulars, but you get one of the major. With his newspaper under his arm, you get those 2 little old ladies. You can stick them just on the landing on the top. They never move. Just put them on the landing on the top. Oh yes, and you could get what's the chef's name? The guy who gets pissed up and slaps
the guy
Manuel
who was in love with Manuel.
I don't know the chef's name. I have watched Faulty. I just can't think of the chef's name.
And you could have a variant of Sybil, but it would actually be Polly disguised as Sybil. with the sunglasses and the wig to put in the bed on the top floor when he pretends that she's ill, but she's really buggered off because they've had an argument. Yes.
And I want to have
towers.
And I want to have like a Bernard Cribbins figure, you know, the guy who's like at the desk demanding all the stuff. Yeah.
Why have they not done any of this?
Yeah.
We'd prefer this to the Doctor Who stuff, definitely. 2 Ranis in a box set with 4 candles, says Stephen. Has there ever been an action figure of the Rani? Seriously, have they ever done a Kato or a Rani?
Must have done one at some point.
They didn't do a lot of did they do a lot of figures from the Colin Baker era? I don't know.
I don't think I've ever seen any. I don't think I've seen a single one.
I'm thinking, like, she had a gorgeous outfit. Like, just to have that and would be impressive. Just to have that in the door.
You know what? And I'm being serious here. This is not a joke. I'm thinking now, if they did one, it was her dressed as Mel from Time in the Rani, because I seem to remember. No, seriously, I remember like seeing a figure like in that Mel outfit, but it wasn't Mel. It would have been, I don't know. Let us know in the chat.
I'd have liked an action figure set, 2 action figure sets of Bates and Stratton from Attack of the Cybermen. So there'd be the Cybermen bodies with the boiler suits, but their actual head like them, and a Commander Lytton as well from probably from Attack of the Cybermen. Although I do like
with his hand crushed or something.
Yeah,
with his hand crushed.
Lytton is one of my favorite Doctor Who characters of all time. So yeah, I don't think I've ever done anything with him. I think there was a comic a few years ago from Cutaway, but yeah, I love Lytton. But I bet they've never touched that. Benny Hill action figures says, "I am your servant." Yeah.
Kurt. Thanks to the chat. Kurt was the name of the chef, the one who was crying, who loved Manuel. I love Manuel. Yeah, that.
Yeah, and the chat said character options just now. I've never done a Rani, but Depol, is that how you say it? Apparently did one.
They did Mel. They did
They were the little, like, you know, really tiny, like 2-inch, 3-inch figures.
They were full action. That was like Star Wars figure size, but they'd got limited posability and articulation, and they looked absolutely bugger all like
You're right.
So it could have been Ronnie Corbett, to be fair. Nobody would ever have known. Lots of Only Fools merchandise available. The Jolly Boys outing bus and Del Boy falling behind the bar, says Bernard Camden. Bernard, I didn't know this. I'd love one of those buses. I would love that.
You could do an Aloe set of the the restaurant with all the characters there.
With the flashing knobs and all that kind of thing. Yes, Andre was the name of the drunk chef, according to Stephen. Blake 7 action figures, says Ezra Goldstein. You never know. Oh no, Kurt. Yes, Kurt, as played by Andre Moran. Yeah. The goodies. We've really started something here now.
All because I couldn't remember the name of the character.
It's amazing that maybe they just thought none of that would sell. I think that they're horrifically wrong, but I don't see why else they wouldn't do it, other than they wouldn't think it'd be profitable.
They'd have me right away. I'd go to bat for those. Why are the panel members short today? Asks who's this? Sharked. Hello, Shark. That's a new name. Why are the panel members short today? We're the same height we usually are, but we've just as fewer of us. So various other members of the Type 40 Live team are not around, so they're not in the country. So David and Luke. David is at a sporting event somewhere. I think he's spectating rather than participating this time. Luke is out of the country. Simon is being a rock star somewhere right now. And so you have to wait and see. We are patiently putting together the next run of Type 40 Live, because again, the people who've reached out and asked about this, of course, we're coming back for another run for 2026. Of course we are. And unfortunately, I said this on the Chill stream a couple of weeks ago. There's a couple of people who've been involved for a few years, and one in particular who's always been involved, that sadly can't participate in the next run of the show. So obviously we're gonna miss them a lot. We've decided to continue because there's enough of us still on deck. And we've got a lot to talk about too. So stick around for Type 40 Live. That'll be back in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, there's more chill streams. Podcast's got a great podcast lined up for you in a couple of days' time, as well as more segments that are going to be dropping out and heaven knows what else, while we sort of bide our time and put together the next run of Type 40 Live. So thank you to everybody who's asking about it. It was very intense last year. There was nearly 80 shows last year. That's a lot of content. Just the one show, plus the podcasts and other things too. So yeah, we don't just throw it together. I mean, I may joke about it. It may look like it's been thrown together, but there is a lot of effort that goes into putting that show on. And obviously it's a big commitment too for the people who are involved, and that's never taken for granted. Neither is your participation there in the live chat either on Rumble X, YouTube, or Facebook. So again, not too much longer to wait now. We're coming back sooner rather than later, but we wanted very much to keep our hand in here because we speak most days anyway, most of us. So yeah, we're just going to wait until it's all up, and then we can sort of pile in, can't we? That'll be how it works.
Oh, I've never seen this shot before.
Yeah,
I will say, I don't know. This is not really a behind the scenes spoiler. I will say, though, to everybody watching and everybody, it's like, well, what are you going to do when now that the show's off and over? I will say that I'm not giving anything away. We recently had a kind of a brainstorming session, the three of us and a couple, three others. And we came up with a lot of really great ideas, which you're going to be seeing that will carry us through 2026. So stay tuned, because you think, well, this could be another like wilderness year because nothing's going on. No, we have a lot of great stuff planned.
Yeah, it's sort of the freedom and the fun of not having to focus so much on the main show for a bit means we can sort of do things we've always wanted, or topics which, when you've got that news cycle and you've got there's this new story and this has happened, and it sort of gets pushed a bit. So that's what I'm looking forward to this year, being able to sort of experiment, do topics which I think are very personal for some of us, or just things we've always wanted to do. And that's what I'm looking forward to, and I hope you guys are when you see them as well.
I was saying to Sarah late last year, Charlotte, in many respects, I feel that we've come sort of full circle with this show to some extent, or that show, Type 40 Live, to some extent, but certainly with Doctor Who itself, because it's off again. The show is in a state of, let's be kind and say limbo. The show is in a state of limbo. The Doctor is once again in distress, with fans left to their own devices, which is kind of where we came in 2020 with this live stream show that we've been doing on first on Tuesday afternoons and then on Thursday evenings, all that time. And so, in many respects, we're going back to the kind of things that really kept us going, kept us talking for the first couple of years, two and a half years that we were doing Type 40 Live. There was no regular show on. There was a few episodes here and there. None of them were any good. So we had to make our own amusement then as well, didn't we? Yeah. But there was a lot less going on because Chris Chibnall was so secretive. So there was never really much in the media. Whereas when Russell T Davies came back, everything was everywhere. All the dirty laundry was out on the line. So there was always plenty to inspect. Plenty of we got to see all their skiddies all lined up down the garden path. That was the unfortunate.
And also you had the whole Disney thing, which was what we'll get to soon. It felt like Doctor Who had changed again a bit, like how they were making it. So that was a lot of the talk. So, like I said, that's the fun of sort of now having quiet time. Like, that's how I'm seeing Doctor Who right now. You can just sort of pick your own sort of rabbit hole to go down. And we don't need help in that regard as Doctor Who fans.
Definitely not. Got a comment here from Davey96. Now, why is he Davey96? Is that a Robin of Sherwood icon that you've got there?
It is. I think that's it is. That's right before. Yes.
My all-time favorite TV shows there, Davey. Haven't seen Shah in a long time. Hope she's doing well. Shah is doing brilliantly. Obviously, Shah is a private individual, but I don't think she'd mind me saying that. She's having a brilliant life. and getting on doing other things. So where she moved, she secured a new job and in time a new career too, and she's lived somewhere different, and she's very happily sort of settled in a relationship too. So Shah is doing really, really well. People ask me about Shah a lot, and she may be back. So she says, I'm going to come back and do this and do that and do the other. But she's really, really big. As I say, doing this, it's a commitment from people. So Shah's doing really, really well, and she'll be delighted that so many people have asked after her.
Yeah, and I've been delightfully surprised recently where on my Facebook page, I see her pop up on my little shorts thing, the little shorts thing, and you click on it, it's like 3 minutes, where she's just doing like 3 minutes of whatever she happens to be thinking about things. So she's still
on YouTube. I know she's on TikTok doing shorts on TikTok now and again, but I don't, like I said, I don't.
No, I see, because I don't go on TikTok, but those come up in my Facebook feed.
But Shah is very much still in the loop, and part of things, but she can't actively participate for the time being. We'll be sure to pass on your best wishes, of course. Okay, the Fallout Season 2 ends in 2 weeks. My son has just messaged me about Fallout Season 2. He's time to get back on that, because I enjoyed what I saw of it, and then I kind of fell off it, but I will be watching it. And comments too about Blake 7. I don't get me started on Blake 7. We'll come to Blake 7 in due course. Don't worry. Don't worry. But there's a reason why I'm not talking about Blake 7 and that announcement and everything else. All will become more obvious as time moves on. Stephen's enjoying the cozy chill stream.
This is my first one. I'm enjoying. I can't usually come on these because they're during the day when you do them, Dan.
More often than not. Yeah, but there is Doctor Who-ness to talk about. I'm happy to say here and there. One story in particular, which I knew that people would sort of want our opinion on to some degree or another. Because how I figured it is that if we're talking about it amongst ourselves, then you can bet that you are as well. And so we may as well live stream with some of this. So that's where we're going to go now. I've got some very interesting data to look at, some of which is out there in circulation on a certain social media platform, and other further information which has been sent exclusively to Type 40. So whilst we're sort of moving things around a little bit, you enjoy this, and we'll be right back with some more. How about
you were gone before we could tell you were number one. Sliding in a cloud of tobacco smoke, kicks TV with a dirty joke. You called it hope and pulp and fluff, but it rang with the truth of waiter stuff. You were gone, never gotta tell you were number one. Cranking it out at a rapid pace. Every world felt like a real place. Your brain and your pen might have taken you high, but fate marked you for the cheap sci-fi. You were gone, never gotta tell you were number one. You were gone, never gotta tell you were number one. In a cloud of tobacco smoke, kicks TV with a dirty joke. You called it hope and pulp and fluff, but it rang with the truth of waiter stuff. You were gone, never gotta tell you were number one. You were gone, never gotta tell you were number one.
Yeah, stop rocking out. Stop playing with yourself. We're back after all. Okay, so we have got some more Doctor Who stuff to talk about. Of course we have. Thank you, everybody. I hope you're enjoying it so far. A chilled out live stream. Why not for a Thursday evening? Okay, so this is where the fun stops. Yes, so if
No,
you
that's
remember,
the other channel.
if you remember back in Vicky can't say things like that. People think we're talking about. So you mean the Star Trek channel?
No, I'm not pointing fingers. No fingers pointing here.
Gotta be careful what we say. Okay, so yes, the BBC announced, when was it? Sort of late autumn, wasn't it? 2025. That, sure enough, just as we told you, the best part of a year earlier, its global streaming deal with Disney Plus for Doctor Who was ending, to the surprise of virtually no one. Yeah, the party's over. Sorry, Belinda. Party's over, love. We never got to see her shake her stuff. Oh dear. Robbed, absolutely robbed. But more importantly, the least convincing love-in ever, I think, in the history of international co-productions between BBC Studios and Disney Plus, that was over in a pretty big way. The truth of the matter was that the whole deal had started falling apart almost right away. We'd been tipped off about this at Type 40, literally in real time at the time, during the 60th anniversary business. But, we do, generally speaking, we're an optimistic bunch. That's how this whole show and brand is put together. And so, how much do you believe of that you're told? The 60th anniversary itself was quite an exciting, heady time. And it wasn't just the 3 new specials that were premiering throughout that time. It did feel to some degree like fandom was coming together. We were all certainly enjoying each other's company, weren't we, Charlotte? And sort of reveling in 60 years worth of Doctor Who. So I didn't think it was right to just fixate on what could possibly go wrong when there was a lot to celebrate too.
Well, yeah, and bringing back that team of Tennant and David Tennant and Catherine Tate, having Russell back before all the stuff that happened later, it just felt like Doctor Who's coming home a little bit. I think that was the feeling in fandom a lot at that time. Yeah,
and we waited, didn't we, with bated breath for the revealing of just the titles of those specials. They held those back until just a few weeks before, didn't they? And I think we all kind of hoped it would eventually make some sort of sense, Gary. I think with the benefit of a couple of years hindsight, it probably never did it? But this did recapture something, I think, for a little while in fits and starts.
Well, I think it brought a sense of anticipation that had been gone at that point for about like 5 years, with the Jodie era. And as Charlotte said, we didn't know what was coming, but, and they weren't, we didn't have a lot of details about the episodes, like what could Wild Yolanda be about, and the giggle, who could be coming back, when there was all the usual speculation about, past villains returning or special guests or whoever. And whenever there's a time where there's just a lot of like speculation going on, like that's what I think Doctor Who fans do well, which is like, who's coming back, which villain, and you get like a little screenshot, and then there's weeks of speculation about things like that. So yeah, I remember that.
During that couple of weeks, we're Doctor Who fans. There was a lot that was winding us up here and there about those specials. But generally speaking, I think we came out of it with a lot more wind beneath our wings than we'd had in a couple of years, probably in 3 or 4 or 5 years. And so I think, and this wasn't just here on Type 40, I think collectively as a fandom, we did try to get behind everything and everyone associated with all new Doctor Who from Disney Plus and the BBC. Unknown quantities in Millie Gibson and Ncuti Gatwa themselves leading the show. A nervous excitement, I think, was circulating around the brand then, because we've seen unknowns or next to unknowns take the lead role in this before and become household names, revolutionize the show and bring people back and bring new people in. So my feeling was, there's no reason why that couldn't happen again. But no, it's far from how it ended up. And Disney played a key part in this. And I have to give them their due. In many respects, they got behind Doctor Who as a brand. I think that they could have pushed the 60th specials more, but then again, they didn't pay for those. And they got them a couple of months later, didn't they? So, or didn't know they got them at the time. But they did get those at the time. But I know that they weren't as invested in them and didn't push them anywhere near as heavily. But they did put some effort behind showcasing Doctor Who as a brand here. The Doctor Who collection was over on the Disney Plus app. And whilst I think that was probably quite an inexpensive thing to do, it did appear that they were keeping up their end of the bargain. I'm no fan of Disney, but if I'm to blame anybody for this shit show, I hate to say, but I think the blame falls on the BBC for the most part. I think that's the image that we're left with after this time.
Yeah, and you can't deny, especially for the shooty stuff, like I said, because they weren't involved so much with the Tennant stuff. That first series of shooty, they gave him a big sort of press push. They did making the subway, the trains, all covered in Doctor Who. He did some big interviews in America. They had him on the circuit. They had even their own press events for Doctor Who with him there. So they definitely put their weight that way to try and sort of get eyes on the brand again, especially in America. And we've all sort of said, because of the Chibnall stuff and the stuff before that, if we're being honest a little bit, it was a very low profile thing in America, Doctor Who. So they needed to get sort of the klaxon back out that Doctor Who was back, in a sense.
Yeah, you're right. I know in America, obviously with BBC in America, especially with, during the Matt Smith era and the early part of the Capaldi era, was a juggernaut on BBC America. They were driving everything with special programming, repeats, everything. And that all collapsed during the Jodie era. I mean, absolute collapse. And so it's hard though when you have to start your rebranding effort with kind of rehabilitating the image, you have to say, oh no, please come back. It's better than it was. I mean, that's almost like starting behind the starting line. It's like you've got to make up. You've got to make up for past sins before you start moving forward. And that's always hard.
We tracked, didn't we? We tracked in real time the collapse of the Chris Chibnall-led production starring Jodie Whittaker over those weeks and months and years on Type 40. Initially with disbelief, then with kind of terror, and eventually, due to the adversarial tone that production team had taken with us, with relish as the entire thing went down in flames. But when it came to the Disney Plus and BBC Bad Wolf co-production, I genuinely wish them all the best. But of course, with this new alignment of so many different players, Sony in the mix as well, it was hard to read, to anticipate that which each component player in the game would have as their ideal outcome, what their expectations from being part of this deal actually would be, because they weren't going to be the same for everybody. And more importantly, they weren't going to be the traditional aims and outcomes that the BBC had always had, which was just to get as many eyes on BBC One during that 45, 50 minutes as possible, and to keep them there and to build on them week on week on week. It wasn't just about that anymore. We'd always been able to keep an eye on those figures and those metrics, but being on Disney Plus meant the potential audience for Doctor Who was far, far larger. We had heard the talk about the aims that Russell T Davies and Julie Gardner had creatively for it. Julie said that we want as many people to watch this as possible. This is a show for everyone. We're inviting everyone to this party. She was saying all the right things, but the material is what counts, isn't it? If the tune isn't one that people are willing to dance to, then you can say all the things you like. It's actions rather than words that count. Disney, for their part, and to be fair to them, they're a private business, just like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Apple. They tend not to publish any metrics regarding their streaming platforms at all, and certainly not concerning each individual series. You may get something like a meme that boasts about screen time or views, and if something gets nominated for awards, they'll absolutely boast about that. But generally speaking, sort of who's watched it for how long, they'll keep those things to themselves. You might occasionally hear somebody saying, oh, this was the #1 show for the age group between 18 and 24, for example. They're very, very proud of things like that. And I think that's a good thing as well, to sort of look and to speak to people directly. But the simple way that we'd always measured how successful or not our series was always line go up, good, line go down, bad. That's all Doctor Who fans. That's all we want. Yeah. It's what we understand. More to the point, though, and this is the darker side to it, it has become that which we feel collectively we're entitled to know. And Disney Plus weren't playing that game, were they, Gary? They weren't going to play ball with us.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially when the kind of the meteoric rise of YouTube, especially since
the commentator space
back in 2020, because YouTube kind of became the destination place for people who couldn't go elsewhere for their usual entertainment. And the things, okay. And the things that drive
dissident voices, Gary, dissident voices.
Well, yes, I you go there. I'm not going to go with the descriptors, but they're driven by. They have to have fuel for the fire, and the thing that provides fuel is the hard numbers. Oh, hey, we got big exclusive news that it went up 18% or down it, or it lost 1 million or whatever. That's the fuel for a lot of the social media, the fire and discussion. And without that, it's hard.
Yeah,
and we're left to make it up.
On, like we said, traditional, it's all about just who watched it on the night. And then with streaming, it sort of morphs into something else. And another big thing is, and you hear lots of people who do talk about streaming say a big thing is how many people is it bringing to the service, that idea of how many subscribers are you getting, how many people are...
It's very collective, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of that more view. So I think
you'll get the people talking that way on the stage at those expos like D23 for Disney, won't you? They'll speak in those terms.
Yeah. But we weren't getting that either. So I think it was the lack of any information, which was sort of making us go, we need something if you're not going to give us figures.
We took it personally, Charlotte. We did. I mean, nevertheless, someone, despite everything that we've just said, someone always knows. And this being Doctor Who, something eventually always leaks. Lately, it's been to this platform, Reddit. Reddit's becoming somewhat notorious as a platform, isn't it? It's like it's seen as the sort of the bottom feeder of social media platforms. I suppose because anybody who could possibly hold any opinion about anything whatsoever can be found on there, speaking largely unchecked, and it is kind of like the wild, wild west of e-conversation. Yes, I approach with caution whenever I hear anything that's come from Reddit. But on the other hand, there's been plenty that's come from the Reddit space, which has turned out to be true. And you have to judge. It's like how you judge a tabloid newspaper. You have to judge by the results. If more often than not it turns out to be true, then you'd be mad to discount it, I feel. And that is where this latest set of leaks has come from. Well, that's what we thought. It turns out that the people who've posted them to Reddit got them from Gallifrey got them from Gallifrey Base, Gary. Now,
Really?
I've been a member of Gallifrey Base for 20 odd years, but I think it has to be about 7 or 8 years since I last logged in. I went to check up on this to see what was going on. And not only did I find that my login didn't work anymore, but also found this massive warning here on their front page. Bigots go away. So you can see how tolerant they say we've attempted to hold tolerance with alternative viewpoints. And by that, they just mean perfectly reasonable opinions that those who aren't far lefty loonies hold. That's what they mean. So it then lurches into a big speech about identity politics and just lots of leftist buzzwords and things like that. So basically, if you're a bigot, go away. But they decide what is a bigot. And anyway, so this is why I remembered I stopped going to Gallifrey Base very quickly after I saw this graphic. But apparently, these leaks were originally put up on there, and Gallifrey Base removed them. Their editorial moderation team there removed these leaks. Now, I've been assured by multiple people that despite this attempt to silence, that these leaks and these metrics are legitimate, according to several people who've spoken to me. Figures, tables, metrics that are purporting to be from Disney Plus regarding the performance of Doctor Who between November 2023 right the way through to May of 2025. The information has been sort of broken down in reasonably digestible chunks, I suppose. I mean, I think I can just look at, if it's anything that people on staff at Disney Plus can look at and make sense of, I'm sure that we can manage, Charlotte, is what I've come to think. But it's just that when you see these graphics, this is what was shared over onto Reddit, you think, wow, that's a lot of data. Those are a lot of numbers. How on earth do you jump into all of that?
Yeah, when it's sort of that's almost like a wall that you have to just get through, isn't it, when you see that initially?
The truth is, I mean, these are Gary, 4 weeks worth, the initial 4 weeks worth of figures built up by each individual episode of Doctor Who, screened between the November of 2023 and May 2025. So since that relationship, that production team had started screening episodes, all banded there with not just the title of each episode, but the streams themselves in minutes. That's how long each individual viewer had remained engaged with the material, I suppose, Gary, would be how I judge that. Okay. Streams in minutes, the duration of the actual episode they're running alongside it, and then a calculated number of views over that 4 week period.
You're more of a kind of numbers cruncher than I am, but on something like this, I would gravitate to, and this is just me, I would gravitate to the views, because that's like, okay, how many eyes were on it? I'm not sure. What do they use the stream minutes watched to tell? What does that indicate? Why is that an important metric, just like views is? What does that tell you?
I think Charlotte's got it bang on. Keeping people on the platform, Charlotte, like you said.
Yeah, and the thing is, if I'm right, when it comes to streaming, because you can choose whenever you stop watching something on a streaming device, whereas traditional TV, it's on for that set amount of time, it's scheduled, that's the slot, you can't mess around with it. A big thing with these sort of things is they look at when people drop off. So people might watch for 10 minutes, for example, and then drop, and because they want you for the full duration of the show. That's like viewer attention. I've heard the term be said.
Retention, that's the word, yeah.
And it's that, so they're scared to death of people not watching the whole thing, because then you're showing that you haven't got a strong enough sort of people that you know is going to come back next week. If they've dropped off halfway through your episode, they're not really going to be chomping down the bit to watch the next one, are they? So I think that's a big thing with these figures as well.
So Charlotte, would you take like the total streaming minutes, divide it by the number of views, and that would tell you the average number of minutes that people watched that particular episode?
I think so. Like I said,
Okay.
this isn't my usual protocol, but I've heard a lot of people talk who are a lot more clever than me, and that's what they talk about.
No, you're quite right. My attention will always go to the calculated number, just like you said, Gary. And obviously, this is over that 4-week total. So the equivalent of what would be the UK 28-day figure. So it's no overnights. These aren't the overnights equivalent of. They're not even a consolidated figure like a 7-day figure. These are the full first month. And when you see figures broken down like that, you think, okay, well, Disney will have known what their ideal outcome was. Just as you said, Charlotte, what would their target for retaining people be? What would their expectations be in line with other content? And you can see, I think, from looking at this, regardless of what we think about each individual number, it's clear that the Star Beast premiered with a degree of interest. That's pretty obvious. Which by the time we get to the giggle, is somewhat lessened, and even more so by the Church on Ruby Road. But once you get into the actual series, because obviously those specials, they weren't as heavily publicized by Disney Plus. But once you get to the stuff they actually did launch big with their new Doctor in the spring of 2024, with Shooter Gatwa and Mel Gibson out on a huge promotional tour all across America, if you remember, then you've got a really quite healthier figure again, back up, if not up to Star Beast level, certainly not far off. But you're quite right. I mean, when we look closer, though, we see there's a considerable drop-off for week 3 for Boom. You could think, well, what's so bad about that? Boom wasn't that bad, was it? But my attention is drawn to the fact that Boom followed the Devil's Cord.
Well, I actually, if we can go back to the slide where you had, what I found interesting was that, and Charlotte, remind me, did the Christmas special that year, was that on Christmas night? The Goblins one? It was.
It was
okay.
The first one back at Christmas slot.
Okay, so the fact that what I think are pretty low view numbers for a Christmas special, first of all. But here's the one thing I find really interesting about Boom, because Boom, as opposed to the 3 previous episodes before it, got a lot more kind of unanimous praise than from fandom, from the public, than I remember the first 3 Shooty episodes getting. But what you see then is, for the second week of Boom, the third week of Boom, the fourth week of Boom, those numbers keep dropping precipitously, even though I remember that as being one of the more higher praised episodes, but the viewing figures just like drop like a rock. That's weird to me.
They do, and they stay fairly down as well. There was a slight uptick for 73 Yards, probably based on good reviews of Boom, I don't know, but gradually it does start to fall again as that series works its way through to a conclusion there, through Dot and Bubble, through Rogue, Legend of Ruby Sunday, and finally the Empire of Death, resting significantly diminished from where it had been before. So whilst I wouldn't say that this tanked, you can track the dropping off of interest, even over 4 weeks.
You can almost see how there was almost something in every episode that got a group of fans, like a small chunk, to say, no, I've had enough, I'm not coming back. And you, like, with the Space Babies, I think it was the childishness and the tone of that opener. People were like, why are we having a comedy episode? Why are we having... Literally, your conclusion was the spaceship farted. Like, that's literally how that episode ended.
You know that I've got a lot of time for Space Babies. I've spent nearly 2 years now, sort of
have.
qualifying that. But I would argue people blame Space Babies. People have been blaming Space Babies now since it's screened. I feel somewhat vindicated here. Although there is a drop between Space Babies and Devil's Cord, that's about what I would expect between an episode 1 and an episode 2 of anything. Realistically, it's not a big drop off, which would lend me, because I know a lot of people, normies, who had all the things that you've just said about Space Babies, which I know a lot of Doctor Who fans feel that way. Normies didn't feel that way. A lot of normies enjoyed that. They thought it was perfectly viable. The big drop off was after the Devil's Cord. I think
I'm not denying.
What I'm saying is, I said at the time, and I'm going to make sure that people know here that I've been proven right. I said at the time it was the Devil's Cord, not Space Babies, and to me, this proves me absolutely correct.
What I'm going to say is, I think it was the 1-2 punch.
Yes.
Of Space Babies and then Devil's Cord, which sort of nailed the made sure that if people had some issues with Space Babies, but they thought, I'll give it another go, they watched Devil's Cord and they were like, nope, after those 2 episodes, I'm not giving Russell any more of my time. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you could be right. But look at that by Empire of Death. You've got half the number of people that turned up for Space Babies, less than half, were still there just 8 weeks later, 7 weeks later, sorry, for Empire of Death. That's one hell of a tail off. Well, it's not tanking, but it's not far off.
To Charlotte's point, if you go back to the previous slide, the numbers prove exactly what Charlotte was saying, because if you look at the remembering that Space Babies Devil's Cord was like on a single night. Yeah. So even if you look at the first week, even if you look at the first number of the set of 4, we went like for 36 million minutes for Space Babies, then 30 million minutes for Devil's Cord. The very next week, it loses a third, down to 21 million minutes. That's a third lost between the double header of 1 and 2, and then boom. And I think Charlotte's right. You know, people were sampled. Oh, I'm going to give this new Doctor a try. And these days, especially with so many other options out there, you basically got a score right out of the gate, and people just didn't like what they saw to come back. You know.
They scored, a big fat nothing. So it's not very impressive at all. And sure enough, I mean, when was that? Empire of Death, that would have been the June. It was Christmas until Joy. Now, I said at the time that Joy to the World was very much the last chance for all new Doctor Who and for this entire sort of phase of Doctor Who's existence. And again, I feel that came true as well. But when they came back for Joy to the World, Christmas 2024, not only is it remains at roughly the same level of the people who lost interest by the end of season 1, but it's even less. And 3 months later, when season 2 premieres, again without the push that season 1 had, but a publicity drive nonetheless. We had Shooter Gatwa and Varada Setu on top of the Empire State Building, didn't we? And on numerous TV shows. And yet the dwindling of interest sadly tapered off noticeably by the Robot Revolution. That was the first episode of season 2. No double bill this time. And whether they would have recovered for looks, or maybe we'll find out about that one day.
Also shocking in this slide that we're looking at here is, the views for Rogue 922, which would have been like my last straw if I just been kind of a normal viewer Rogue. But then you look at Ruby Sunday, the first part of the two-part finale. Part 1 gets 938, ends on a cliffhanger leading into the season finale, and it drops like 300,000 views. Nobody even bothers to turn up for the second part of what they just watched the first part of. That's really telling.
Word could have got around after 4 weeks as well, because obviously over a 4-week period, that kind of buzz and word of mouth, Charlotte, that eventually, I think that gives in within 2 or 3 days to a kind of, we all do it, or I've got to remember to catch that latest episode of whatever the show is that you're watching. And sometimes I think we're all aware of a show that we intended on watching all of, but that we lose interest in. And I think that's clearly what's happened for the broader audience on Disney Plus.
Yeah, and you've got to think as well, like, for example, on the BBC, they don't have all these big competing shows with each other nowadays. They did back in the day, but now they basically have, for each sort of telly season, one big thing. So at the moment it's Traitors for BBC. Before, like, that, it would have been a Strictly, like, during, like, just before Christmas, that sort of time period. But on streaming, you've got so much content, you've got so much stuff that you have to sort of shout to get your voice above that parapet. And
stay
if you just,
in the playlist, stay up on people.
And I think it's a harder job. I honestly do. In today's sort of atmosphere with streaming, you need to catch fire and you need to be able to keep that fire every week, or you just disappear off the rotation.
It's a sorry state of affairs. I do have further information, which I'm not going to talk about just yet. We're going to hold that back for a little while. But I found this, I'm not a numbers person. I don't believe in poring over too many figures. I think you can, there are people out there, David Milling is a statistician and he loves figures. And so for him, it's an idea of a good time looking at this kind of thing. But for me, it's something I have to be in the right frame of mind for. And so much of it I can't process. I have to really sit and think about what I'm looking at. But in this instance, it's quite digestible the way that it's broken.
An interesting thing I just noticed, because I'm looking at the views column, that's where I'm spending most of my time on these posts, that for Joy to the World, more than double the number of people who watched it on the night or / first week, that doubled in the second week, 135,000 views to 304. That bucked the trend of pretty much every other episode where the vast majority of views were either on the night or the first week. And
could that be, Gary, people who simply have other things to do on Christmas Day and Boxing Day, and so over the holiday period, that entire fortnight, they catch up then? Let's take a look at, did that happen with Church on Ruby Road as well? No, it didn't. No, there's a lot of interest for, I wonder why that was. No, that's not a pattern with Church on Ruby Road.
Yeah, like I said, that the Joy of the World kind of breaks the pattern of all the other downward in each group. Weird. A constant downward.
Here's a guess, and this is a complete and utter guess. That had Nicola, how do you say the actress's surname? And in America, she's quite well known now because of Bridgerton.
Oh, okay.
So maybe having her in that guest star spot actually helped it more in America than here. Because like I said, the Americans absolutely adore Bridgerton because it's the period stuff, it's the British sort of aristocrat stuff, it's the dresses, it's all that. Like that, they absolutely adore that stuff. And like she was, I don't know if she's still in the show, but she was a big like star of that show.
It's the people who didn't prioritize Joy to the World immediately they're the ones. The losing of that proportion of interest is what accounts for the collected total of that being less than Empire of Death. It implies that there's no buzz around the show, or there's a lessened, a weakened buzz around the show. When you look at them, you put the first two figures together, comes out at say 440,000, which isn't that much, I suppose, away from the previous episodes, but it's enough to make that difference. And again, although the pattern does revert to the established pattern there for the season premiere, the Robot Revolution, it's generally speaking a very similar picture in the third and fourth week. So a gradual decay of the viewership that we're used to seeing in an equivalent way by looking at the overnights and consolidated figures on BBC One.
And also, it shows that for everybody who at the time and for every single week that both of these seasons were on, all the shouts of, well, no, overnights don't matter. It doesn't matter because you really got to do the +7s, the +28s. That's where all the real views go. And the fact that this chart then shows that no, week to week, there's an exponential erosion in the viewing figures, just shows that was just a lot of hot air for the most part.
Well, yeah, and we all said this at the time when the announcement happened to do with the Disney partnership, that it was so telling that Disney didn't say anything. Not even the usual sort of... When companies give out a statement, it's not really saying anything. It's lots of word salad and terms, and they do it because they have to, but there's nothing meaty there. I thought we would have at least gotten that from Disney when this officially was said, we're not doing it anymore. But the fact that BBC basically was the sole person talking, we all said at the time, it gives the impression that Disney is very much happy to be out the door. That's the impression it gave. And obviously we don't know if these figures are official because they've been leaked and they've been on Reddit. We have no way of knowing. But this would, and that's the word I would use, would be a very good reason, if true, why Disney were very happy to walk away, not make a statement, and just carry on with their day, was the impression they gave.
Funky still hasn't seen Joy to the World. But I think, again, that malaise that set in, even with the hardcore fan base, is, it does seem to be something that the general audience felt as well. And we've got lots of people in the live chat here that are chilling out with us who are sort of going over old grievances with the last couple of years worth of each episode of Doctor Who, which I do completely understand. Little foibles, little things here and there. We're not going to go over old ground because even though we're chilled out, that's not really what we're here for. The whole era is an insult to our intelligence, according to I Am Your Servant. Of course, you're quite right. An insult to our intelligence and our final sort of resources of goodwill, I suppose. The second set of data that we have, this has not come from Reddit. This has been sent independently to Type 40. Is this. So this set of figures from our sources, we see here the total averages for each episode, but over a far longer period. Again, broken down into streams. Next to the duration. And again, that final column of the views, a combined graphic featuring all of season 1 again and those specials before and after it. We can go a little bit closer and take a look. So here we are. These are the 60th anniversary specials. Again, streams in minutes, duration per minutes, and then views.
You know what? For the clip, for the segment that you're showing now, plus what the wider view that you showed in the last one, looking at this just as a purely, removing our, love for the franchise, putting that aside and just viewing these objectively as, not even, saying if this was any show, it didn't matter. You're just solely looking at the numbers. What this tells me is that that people tune in, that there's a lot of curiosity viewing going on here. Like for the Star Beast, the return of Tennant and Tate gets what it does. And then people is like, okay, been there, seen that. And then they lose 50% of the numbers for the next two. And then the curiosity viewing for Shudi's first episode brings it up again. And then I think on the one where the last one you showed, where the numbers after Church on Ruby Road for the season 1 numbers showed that, okay, people had their curiosity about Shooty satisfied, and then the numbers are already dropping. So it seems like there's no, I keep coming back to the retention word that Charlotte used. And of course, that was in context of Disney want retention, the people who watch Doctor Who on their channel stay for all of their other content. But just that aside, it just seems like the views now are, the Doctor Who really only gets used for, the curiosity. Is it a new Doctor? Is it the return of a beloved Doctor? Week to week, it's gone. Because one of the numbers that you just had on the slide before this was like, one of the episodes was like at 40,000 or something. And it's like, that's just nothing.
Again, this is over a far greater period of time.
It's like it needs an event, doesn't it? Or it needs something outside of just a normal episode to get any attention now. That's the impression it gives anyway.
Yeah, look at Joy to the World. From year to year, from one Christmas, 156, which was the event, first episode of Shooty, a year later, it's a quarter of that.
I've got, let's go through them a bit. So what have I got next? Okay, so those are the specials. That initial crop of 4 specials, initially led by David Tennant and Catherine Tate, and then featuring the debuts of Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson. Those are the longer range figures there, purported to be from Disney Plus themselves. Here is the equivalent for season 1. Again, over a greater period of time, streams per minute, duration in minutes, and a simple calculation of the number of views, the total views, and then the average view count for the entire season 1 of Doctor Who, from the late spring into early summer 2024, is there calculated at the bottom there as 1,604,227. Starting, as you've said, Gary, from that, again, another initial high, Space Babies, The Devil's Cord, there's 1 million on each of those episodes before it drops for boom, that third.
Yeah.
And then just keeps dropping.
Yeah. So it does, again, goes up again a little for 73 yards, because boom, we said this at the time, boom was largely agreeable. It was recognizably Doctor Who. So the people who'd remained reasonably interested, they came back, and there might have been a little bit of word of mouth around that, because a lot of people were talking about that episode, but it wasn't enough to keep people there until the end. I mean, things didn't ever get as low as that again over this longer period of time. That's the Devil's Cord effect. The season finished with less than half the number of views than it had for how it started, and that's got to be a failure by anybody's standards, settling at that average figure of, let's say, 1.6 million views for an entire season. Now, obviously, Disney have never disclosed their ideals, their expectations, but they had to have been. Well, clearly, because they're not there anymore. But we'll come to the reasons for Disney's departure another time, because we're in possession of some more information about that. But this can't have been the figures that they were looking for, I feel, Charlotte, somehow.
No, especially as this was a new sort of thing they were doing by co-partnership with Doctor Who, and this was a brand that they hadn't really dipped their toe in yet. So when you've got this new brand and you've sort of been told or sold sort of, oh, it's 60 plus years, it's sort of this big British thing, like it's really big, and then you get those viewing figures, possibly, then yeah, you're going to feel a bit let down, aren't you? I think that's the kind way to put it.
Yeah. Let's pop Joy to the World.
I think actually
there as well. And we've got the Joy to the World figure here, Gary, which just popped. Just pop that into the bottom there. So let's substitute that total and average for Joy to the World and see where that lies. And here was what I found to be a very stark difference.
Yeah. Especially year to year. I mean, I think like if you do Christmas to Christmas, you're right. It's very stark. It's 1/4 of whether you go by streaming minutes or views, it's 1/4 of what they were getting a year before. Now, I just looking at these numbers, 3 things popped into my head that this kind of tells me. The first is that you can't take, even for a show with a dedicated fan base of whatever particular size, you can't take your audience for granted. You can't assume, oh, if they show up the first week, they'll be back every single week, or oh, Doctor Who fans will, no, we can rely on them every week. No, it's like in today's streaming environment, in today's viewing environment, you have to give, it's almost like on a week-to-week basis. It's like once people start getting disappointed, or you start doing something to actually make them turn away, they might be gone. So you cannot take them for granted in that they're always going to be there. Second is that I think the numbers from Boom to 7 to 3 yards, I think, first of all, that indicates that, the power of word of mouth. If you have an episode that on social media say, oh, this week was really good, this was much better than the first 2, like Boom, then the power of that will then translate into higher viewing figures, like for 7 to 3 yards. So while you can't take for audience for granted, if you give them what they like, word of mouth can be very powerful and actually can get you views. The other thing I'm wondering, and I'm really curious about what the both of your opinions on this, I wonder if basically this gives us indication of basically what the base floor of Doctor Who fans is. It's like, okay, we know what the base now of Doctor Who fans is, probably what, like 1.1, 1.2, or 1.5, whatever. I think we're looking at, no matter what, come hell or high water, the quality of the episode or not, this is the base number of Doctor Who fans.
Somewhere between 700,000 and what was the average figure from before? 1.5 million.
Yeah.
Somewhere between those 2 figures.
But what's stark there is by one series worth of material, you're already at the sub 1 million range.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, less episodes. This wasn't a 13 episode run. So it's taken quicker in that sense to get to that figure.
And on Christmas too.
Yes, on a holiday.
I think I'd imagined being on a global streaming platform would be, they would expect to harvest a global yield. The potential reach, just as Julie Garden says, was colossal. We're looking at 1 million people. Tops, 1.5 million people, absolutely tops. I find it difficult to... and even the event status of specials. Here are all the specials grouped together, Gary, so you can see that difference there. 12 months between The Church on Ruby Road and Joy to the World. Obviously, there's a year's worth of accumulated views as well, built up in the meantime. But, from 2.8 million views on Church on Ruby Road down to just 740,000 12 months later.
And here's the other thing. I think that if you look at Eccleston with Rose, and it was the first exposure of everybody to a new Doctor, and yeah, there was a curiosity factor, but the quality of what people were getting made the numbers for that entire season great. I mean, everybody loved it because what they were getting on a week-to-week basis was what they liked. It wasn't just that they were indulging their curiosity over one night. Same for Tennant. Tennant climbed, he was 3 seasons, and everybody came in because they liked, and Matt Smith, of course. But if people don't like or don't feel that this is to their taste after their first sampling of it, they're gone.
Yeah, and I think
Evidently.
as well, you've got that, what you're talking about, with an audience, which at that point had a lot of disappointments, a lot of feeling like they got pushed out and got told this isn't for you anymore. And I think that made it a lot easier. And I do not blame at all the fans who said, I'm going to give it a couple of episodes, and if it's not working, I'm gone. I think that sort of threshold of giving it a chance was so slim. And then they didn't help it by doing the interviews they did, both Russell and Shooty and other people part of the production team. It was like almost a team effort to, how can we make this the most awkward sort of start to a series for fans wanting to give it a chance?
Another reason why I think that a lot of fans gave it a chance at the beginning, but didn't stay with it, because I think a lot of fans' metrics were, if they retcon Timeless Children, that's going to be my metric. If they do that, I'll stay and give it a chance. But by 4 or 5 episodes in, by the time you get to past the specials and the first couple of Shooty's things, when they realize, no, it's, I think that was everybody's, the line must be drawn here type of thing. And I think that translated into these numbers.
So what we've got up on screen are purported to be the total number of streams in minutes, alongside the duration of the episodes, and the total accumulated views for each special there that was broadcast, streamed, dropped, whatever you want to call it, during the whole BBC Studios, Bad Wolf and Disney Plus co-production. So if those are the figures for the specials, we've got the equivalent grouping together here. So there we are for the season 1 as well. All banded, added together for a total number of streamed minutes and a collective total of views across 8 episodes comes to 3.7 million views. But the average is still 1.85 million views for that entire season. Again, falling some way close of just 2 million views on an international, a global streaming platform.
And with not a cheap show, let's put it that way.
Yeah. I'm curious, Dan, what was this is pure speculation I'm asking for on your part. Looking at these numbers, at what point, if you had to guess, would you say that Disney looked at the progression, whether it be 4 weeks for each episode or year to year, whatever we're doing, that Disney would say, okay, this was a nice try, but this just isn't sustaining, we're out? And what do you think would have been the kind of tipping point as far as the numbers go?
As far as the numbers go, I think it's very clear where the rot started to set in with the viewers, where the series lost a constituency of its potential viewership that it never got back. And for me, it's universally in exactly the same place as it was when it was screened on the BBC. And when you get those figures next to one another, when you compare Disney's 4-week figures next to the BBC's 4-week figures, or equivalent of, the numbers that we're looking at may be drastically different, but the pattern, the effect, is exactly the same. Starting with that high for the Star Beast, falling when the series premieres, and then positively tumbling once the Devil's Cord is screened.
Yeah, I keep coming. The thing that keeps striking me with all of the graphics you're putting up is not just the consistent fall, but that absolute stark drop between Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death. The fact that so many people would just choose not to tune into the second half of the season finale. That is just so telling for any show, not just this.
And when we're looking at the UK and the we've got the BBC One and the Disney Plus figures there side by side. That's the only real stark difference. In Britain, more people did come back for the finale, but on Disney Plus, it was like, no, they were out, they were gone, and they didn't come back. They weren't coming back even for Christmas, whereas people did return to the show for Joy to the World on Christmas Day there, and for that 28-day period, 6.3. Joy to the World was, in terms of metrics, very successful for the BBC on Christmas Day in Britain. It was something like the third watch program on that entire day, but creatively it was a huge failure, and it didn't have that restorative effect as was proven by the premiere of season 2 just 3 or 4 months later. There, in fact, it was a far shorter window, wasn't it, between Joy to the World and Robot Revolution? So you can see how down that was. It's down to 4. And it just kept tumbling from that point on. So for me, this points very clearly at one creative decision that we were calling out a year before. It was even screened, I think, maybe even longer, and that people just aren't going to stick around for a show that doesn't reward their loyalty, doesn't value the viewer's time. You're not going to retain those people, Charlotte, just as you said, and it is largely down to a massive breakdown of Russell T Davies' professional faculties and the employing of drag queens, specifically one drag queen, as the main villain of a key episode for what was really the launch of this new era. People don't want drag queens anywhere near this brand under any circumstances whatsoever. Doctor Who is family entertainment. And whilst that is inclusive of adults, drag is not suitable entertainment for children, and drag queens are not appropriate casting choices or personalities to have in orbit of this brand and exposing their bile to the viewership.
When you look at those figures, I get what you mean. There is that big drop. You cannot deny that on both ends. The official BBC ones and these leaked are claimed to be figure ones. But like I said, I have to slightly disagree. I think it was the combination of those two episodes. I really do, because I think they both touched a nerve in different ways with people who were willing to give Russell a go, who was willing to give this era a go.
I think we're talking. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think we're talking about the difference between Doctor Who fans and regular punters. I think that the overwhelming, the universal factor is this person, and I accept that Jinx Monsoon is successful at what they do on the stage or whatever, and heaven knows, Monsoon can sing.
Yes.
But this casting was sold to us not on those terms. It was as Jinx Monsoon, as an influencer, as a personality, as a star. If you follow that person over to their social media content, what you see is bile, extremely gratuitous sexual content and talk and behavior which is not suitable, remotely suitable, to be attached to the Doctor Who brand. Cast because they were a friend of Russell T Davies and because of what appears to be a totally out of control fetish, which is dictating the creative direction of this show.
So I don't know about their personal stuff, but I can talk about the character. And I think the problem was the way they were written and characterized was
As a drag
incredibly
queen.
loud. Yes,
Yeah.
it was an incredibly loud. It was sort of abrasive. It was very in your face, and like and there was not a bit for me anyway. There was a lot of innuendo with the way the character was written as well.
Yep.
And I think those things, even if we're talking about general public again, they wouldn't know all that stuff with this actress. They would have just gone off the character on screen. And I think the character was written as Marmite. That's the way I felt at the time. You either were into this sort of character as being a villain and being on part of the show, or you watched it and went, what on earth is that character meant to be?
Well, I was happy to give credit where it was due at the time. I considered Monsoon's performance to be powerful and memorable in some respects, but that aside, being objective, but still, on aggregate, completely inappropriate to be anywhere near Doctor Who.
I think also the other thing that those figures are showing is as soon as people have a bit of space in between showings, whether it's you've got your block with the specials, then you've got a bit of a break, then you've got Ruby Road.
Yeah.
You've got a break until Space Babies, and then you've got a break between Joy to the World and Robot. That's the killer, those breaks. Because people either, we said this, they lose interest, they find other things to watch, or they have more time to go, no, what actually did I just watch? What actually was in those scripts? What was the writing?
Right.
Why did Russell do that to some legacy characters? I think that the time was very much the enemy in these figures.
Yeah. If it's off your mental front burner, that's deadly. That's deadly because I mean, right now, these days we have exponentially more things vying for audience's attention, whether it's either on their phone or on their computer or on their television. You better bring your A game every week because people don't have are not willing to extend the patience for 8, 9, 10 episodes when there's dozens and dozens of other things competing for their attention. They're not.
Disney didn't hang around either, did they? I mean, that was it. 2 seasons, really. I mean, I don't count the 60th anniversary specials because they were being made anyway. They probably wouldn't have made these seasons in this form to that pattern if it hadn't have been for Disney Plus. We'll come to the reasons why Disney exited the deal and when on a future edition of Type 40 Live. I do have more to tell, but for now I think we will leave it there. But what a sorry state of affairs this is. It's all been so intense in just 2.5 years. A lot of screened Doctor Who, and yet very little of it memorable for the right reasons, I feel, Gary, and a punch-drunk fandom.
Yeah, I mean, it's disheartening. That's the only word for it. For a franchise that all of us have held, close to our heart for, a good portion of our lives. It's nothing that I'll speak for myself. I don't revel in, dissecting, performing the autopsy, with these numbers. I don't, but it just shows that sometimes, like, it takes how long did it take for like the real hard numbers here to counter a lot of the shouting that was happening at the time? It's like, oh no, the show's fine. Oh no, the 28-day numbers will be great. Oh no, you guys are just haters. And it's all the shouting, and sometimes it takes months and years for the true numbers to come and show all of that just for the noise that it is.
Barracking and deflection, really, isn't it, Charlotte? It's noise. It's to tune out, to interfere, I suppose, with the signal of people simply comparing their viewing experiences the way that we do when we talk in our friends groups or at school gates or down the pub. They went to extremes to stop us from turning to one another recounting our viewing experiences and sort of passing the word around that the show was shit.
Oh yeah, I think there was a lot of fans who had a lot of hope and a lot of want for this to work. So when you have that deep want, you can at times not quite see certain things in front of you. That's sort of, I think, one side of the fandom was doing that, and the other side was, I think, very much, they could see the figures, but they were just trying, like you said, to make a lot of noise. But even, I remember when we were covering it, I feel like it felt very quickly that noise was sort of not being effective, that you could just see this was not working. And even Russell's language and the way he carried himself, compare Russell launching Shooty in that initial run up to season 1 to how he did it season 2.
Yeah.
It was almost like a different man was on those red carpets and on those press junkets, and even more so when it was like, oh, we have to wait, sort of the comments he was giving about season 3 and whether Shooty was going to carry on. And you could just see in real time, I think more than any other era, people in front of it trying to have a brave face, but having to accept that there were clearly issues and they were just trying to sort of, like I said, say everything's fine, that whole meme, but it wasn't.
Bad Wolf left holding the baby as well. Bad Wolf Sony. It's damaged their reputation considerably after a string of hits internationally. I'd be surprised if they've got a reputation left, to tell you the truth. Shitagawa obviously long gone. What was he advertising for Burberry over Christmas? I mean, I don't know. I can't stand the sight of this guy now. The association with him is obviously indelible. He will always be now Doctor Who to some people. I can accept that, but he's yet another mark on the franchise that's never really going to wash out. It's a sad reality. Thank you for sticking with us through all those facts and figures, everybody. We've got some comments here in the live chat. Stephen O'Neill says, don't put it past Russell T Davies to make this year's Christmas special a song and dance act. Yeah. Literally, I think even Russell T Davies wouldn't be, not after, I mean, you could tell by his demeanour on the red carpet last summer. I mean, he does seem to be getting over it now, due to the company he's keeping, perhaps, I don't know. He does seem to be getting over it now, but you could see that he was a man who was experiencing probably his first ever professional crisis. I don't think he'll take any gambles with the special. I've got some information about that as well. So don't expect anything too ridiculous in that before the curtain closes proper, or before the curtain closes proper. It's doors closed, curtains fall. I'm getting tired, Charlotte. I'm starting to talk even more nonsense than usual.
Well, but whatever he comes up with, it's going to be the most spectacular, amazing, surprising, unexpected thing we've ever seen.
Fans have taken more damaging punches recently than Rocky did against Ivan Drago in Rocky 4, according to Funky. I think you could be right. Tokenism over substance, declares Matthew Pounder in the live chat. You couldn't be more right. You couldn't be more right. What else is here? Oh yeah, people talk about Maestro. That was the villain played by Jinx Monsoon. Make the villain a true villain, a crazy man, dressed as a woman, just like in real life. Says Terrified Monk. I didn't say that. Terrified Monk said that. Good one, says Matthew Pound. Which was a good one? Good one. I'll ruin it. The stupid dance numbers tested us too. So again, this is the kind of thing that I mean, though I am your servant. These are the things that each of us, some of us are going to have enjoyed that stuff and some of us won't. None of those things are deal breakers. But collectively, I think over the average season, Charlotte, you can screen things which some people feel more than others. And you can get away with it if the general vibe around the show is really inclusive and fun. I mean, properly inclusive. I mean, inclusive and fun, and it doesn't have to be intelligent, but it can't treat us like we're stupid either. And so all this stuff, I'm fine with all of that. I thought that was excruciating as well, but it wouldn't have been enough to make me not come back again. You know.
No, but it's that whole death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah,
thing.
You said that before.
Right.
You can only
Completely
sort
wrong.
of go, oh, I'll let them have that so many times, can't you? Like, we've all watched movies or shows
Right.
that will go, okay, I get that's stupid, or I get why that's happened, but I've enjoyed something else. When you don't have that something else to sort of make you forget the stuff you don't like as much, that's your issue.
Yeah.
Stephen asks, why didn't they get a woman to play Maestro? It could have been very different, because it wouldn't have been as sexually exciting for key members of the production team to have done that. It's I'm afraid that it's as base as that. I didn't want to believe that at first 2 or 3 years ago either, but as it has turned out, it's very evidently the truth. Sexual gratification and fetishism have played a key part in determining the editorial direction of a family-orientated adventure series. It's
Also,
frigging
giving
wild.
jobs to your friends. That's a
That
big
too.
thing with Russell currently, I think.
There's that too. I can accept that Jinx Monsoon is a creation in the same way that Dame Edna Everage was a creation of Barry Humphries. But they never put Dame Edna Everage in Doctor Who, did they?
Yeah.
And Dame Edna Everage never went on social media talking about obscene sexual acts, did they? So I think it's slightly different. What else is here? Thank you everybody for letting us sort of I sort of got quite intense about all that. It is with the passage of time, it's starting to boil my piss because they're still not owning up to a lot of this, despite the overwhelming, unarguable failure. They're trying to sort of crawl out of the wreckage and still over their shoulders, while they're licking their wounds, picking the bits of glass from their bodies, from the impact, they're still looking back, pointing back at the fans and saying, it's your fault. It's not Russell. It's your fucking fault. Decision after decision have compromised this show for years since you came back. I'm just glad. Yeah, just don't let the door hit you, mate.
Yeah,
all I
that's
can say
why I have
from a
nothing
fan.
but trepidation about this Christmas special, for exactly the reason you just said, Dan.
Yes, and sure enough, you get to do it all again. It'll be here before we know it, Charlotte. The Christmas 2026 Doctor Who special, written by Russell T Davies, starring fuck knows who, and and who knows what's going to happen in it. We do have some information about that. Make sure you're back here at Type 40 for Type 40 Live when we're going to tell all in due course. Do you think the next 11 months will go quickly, Charlotte? I mean, the publicity machine for this will probably start in the late autumn and really kick in late November, I suppose. And maybe then we'll think, oh, God, we'll be looking back to these days of quiet with longing.
I think the good chunk of this year is going to be very slow for Doctor Who. And then, like you said, it will all at once get very loud, very noisy, with lots of stuff happening around that special.
Mix it up yet again, Tom. Put a banger. Would you trust Tom Baker to choose something to pop on the jukebox? That would be to lighten the mood. I don't know. You think? Would you?
It would be something I've never heard of, but that I would instantly love.
At least we can laugh about it, can't we? Look, I'm all for people enjoying themselves, and whatever turns you on, it's fine by me. On your own dime, in your own time. But it cost us an entire era's worth of Doctor Who, which it could have turned out differently. It could have turned out differently. Was that chilled out? The things
That was
we were
chilled
for
out.
the first hour. I can't believe we're still here. We were chilled for the first hour, and then we got a bit serious, which I think could have been my fault. But it irritates me because we could have seen this coming. Some of us did. Some of us refused to look. I know. Yeah, I don't blame you, Poppy. I don't blame you. Some of us refused to look. But now look who's left holding the space, baby. It's everybody else. It's this chick from the BBC, the head of content, that is Kate Phillips, who assured any Whovians left out there Doctor Who is going nowhere, and said that Disney has been a great partnership. But Doctor Who will still be on the BBC. The TARDIS is going nowhere, she said. The poor cow. She had to go out there and front out all of this at the Edinburgh TV Festival. Not Russell T Davies. This poor woman. Fair play to her. To be fair, with hindsight, 6 months on, at least she spoke to Doctor Who fans with a degree of respect and dignity.
Yeah, and gave us something.
Yeah. We have to take what little we get how we can, I think. Just blowing the cobwebs away, everybody. How do you feel now, Charlotte? It was your idea. I blame her.
Was it?
I think so. For the purposes of the wrap-up, yeah, it's your idea. It's
okay,
your fault.
I'll own it. It's my idea, this whole stream, folks.
No, look, anytime. Look, I've been on chill streams before with Dan, which have always been great fun. I think anytime we do a chill stream is always a lot of fun, whether we're covering serious news stuff like we did today, or whether we're just kind of hanging out and taking it easy. I think these chill streams are always great fun.
Yeah. I know that David Milling will be gutted to have missed talk about statistics. Charlotte, you want to break that news to him, or shall I?
See, if I'm claiming the stream, you can break the news to him. Like, that's how it's going to work.
Fair enough. I can't really argue with that one, can I? I've got some more comments from YouTube, everyone. A Terrified Monk says, put the show on ice, let it come back with a fresh narrative. What else? Oh, we've had quite a jump in the chat. A damn politics creeping back in. This is meant to be chill time. And we had more fun doing the He-Man stuff at the beginning, says Funky. I might cut this stream up. The blood-boiling stream, says Matthew Pounder. Yeah, you may find this stream sort of separated into two. But yeah, it's been therapeutic, and this stuff needed saying.
And honestly, I think that this kind of puts a pin in the previous era, because now I think we're kind of, we have hard facts now, which we can look at things objectively and not be caught up in the hysteria and in the mania. And I think that it's a good kind of like period at the end of the sentence of the last era.
Could have been amazing, says the Terrified Monk. And Dava, I have enjoyed this stream. That's someone else, Dave.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, guys. Been nice to relax and chill with you all. We'll have plenty of things to talk about once filming starts. Well,
yeah.
You might think that.
Hold this space.
You wait. God. I'm going to be the bad guy again, aren't I? I'm going to be the one everyone calls the arsehole again. But yeah, it's coming, everybody. It's coming. It's all Dan's fault. I'm still the arsehole. Somehow it's still me. I'm quite happy with currently watching the Pertwee era on the iPlayer, says Nicholas Horton. So there you go. The quality of the episodes is an upgrade, as I understand. They're quite the strength of the signal is apparently far greater now on the iPlayer than it once was. There we are.
And we only got 8 weeks for the season 21 collection, so
just 8 weeks.
That's coming soon.
Oh, I can hardly wait. My favourite season of classic Doctor Who. There should have been another way, says Matthew Pounder. Yeah. Yes, so that is, look, I'm well pickled. I don't mind telling you. Pickled in time. Where did all that time go, Charlotte? It is nearly pumpkin time. After all, it must have gone, it went that way when we weren't looking. I think, didn't we may have lost our heads. So he did. I think I did too. But we'll be back in a few days' time, Gary, to talk about more Star Trek. That's coming on Saturday there with the next edition of Warp Drive, a Star Trek podcast. I think that's surely not going to make us angry at all, is it?
Reflux is the key word in that.
Charlotte's just thinking, thank God I'm not around for that. Dodged a bullet there, Charlotte.
I've decided I'm gonna make it my mission to try to convince Charlotte to watch this show.
Oh, please don't. Please don't.
Pickles and pumpkins, but no cream crackers.
No,
today,
cream crackers just on Saturdays.
Yeah. Looking at Dan's Planet of the Apes.
Oh, then no, that's me,
again.
Bill.
Huh?
Me.
Oh, there we are. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I love that. I've not seen that. That's brilliant. Gary's got his Planet of the Apes cap on, thinking if you look too closely at the temporal paradoxes raised by the original series,
Yes.
it'll drive. That's a Planet of the Apes question.
I
I've already done
I could talk Planet of the Apes paradoxes all day.
Yes, but I do need to go because it's 10 o'clock and I'm now upstairs, so I have to be very.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we're bowing out, Charlotte. So we'll say goodnight to you first.
Yes.
I'll take some more comments, but yeah, we nearly made it after all as a dry run. But yeah, we'll
He promised
see you in a few
me,
days' time.
folks. He was like, "We'll be done before 10," and I always say, "Dan, I'll believe it when it happens."
Yeah, I thought we'd be done after about an hour and a half. Good night, Charlotte.
Bye
Good
bye,
night, everybody.
See you next
Catch
week.
you later. Oh dear, and then there were two. Gary is wearing what looks like a Starfleet uniform.
Yes.
Says
You know what? I think I'll take that as a compliment as long as we're talking about the actual Starfleet and not.
You wear it better than she does, mate.
Dan, I so wish I could be in this. I so wish, Dan, I could be in the same room with you as you watch this episode. Oh boy.
Warp Drive, a Star Trek podcast coming this Saturday live on YouTube. That's on the Type 40 channel and the Spacebook channel just for now. But if you want more Warp Drive, all our previous editions, live streams and podcasts are on the brand new Warp Drive Star Trek YouTube channel. Go and seek that out and subscribe. Do us a solid and transport yourself over there. And you can catch up with earlier incarnations of myself and the Warp Drive regulars moaning on about other Star Trek too. So yeah, we have been doing it for longer than you think. Type 40 Live's back in time. Yes, people are out there. Just want to say yes. Give us a little bit longer. We're working on it. Type 40 Live is on the way back, Gary. And after tonight's sort of dry run, dry chill, I can't wait.
Oh no, it's gonna. I like I said before, I legitimately really am excited about all the ideas we have for, to bring to all the viewers in 2026. I think they're really going to be surprised and enjoy it. And I actually think that this is going to be a good year for us.
They're all good years. They've all been good years. I don't think we've had a bad one yet, to be honest. And that's been as much down to you, yes, you, as anything and everyone else. So stay where you are. Yeah, we will be back for more sooner rather than later. A great podcast coming up here on the show, a long-form podcast with lots of the Type 40 regulars on there and a topic I know you guys love. So make sure you're subbed. Check you're still subscribed if you think you are, because YouTube peels away subscribers when they think you've stopped looking. So go and check that you're still subscribed. Hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications about what's coming next, when and where, whether it's live or the podcasts, the chill streams, whatever else we've got coming up, because you're not going to want to miss it, and your opportunity to be part of it too as we sort of broaden out our remit for 2026. It's going to be fun, I can guarantee. Yes, stream's finished a little bit later than I planned, Gary. I was going to nip down the shops for a bottle of milk. I'm all out of milk again, but I think Tesco's might be closed. The rain has stopped, but I think it may be closed by now. But thanks for coming on, Gary. I do think it was.
Of
course. I'm not a numbers guy, but I know that that's what the fandom was talking about, and enough people had asked me about it, and we did have the information. So I think
of course.
It was
I mean, look.
valid.
I mean, this is, legitimate information. I think we gave a good perspective and interpretation of it. And I'm sure that this may not be the last time we have numbers. And if we have more numbers to talk about, I'm sure we'll get into those too.
Funky says that Gary is the cadet that didn't get through to Starfleet Academy.
Well, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near this Starfleet Academy, Funky, so I'm totally fine with that.
Excellent stuff. Okay, that wraps it up for this one. Yeah, we're back very, very soon. Like, subscribe, share, get sharing. Nobody ever shares. Why are you sharing? This is great stuff. It's been great stuff now solidly for 6 years here on YouTube, nearly 6 years. And the podcast itself, nearly 9 years coming up. And I'm just as proud of the material that we've got pre-recorded as I am anything else that we've put out over the last 8 or 9 years. So make sure you're sticking there. Make sure you're still around for that. And if you listen over on the podcatchers as well, make sure that you're following us there too.
And also there's, I'm not going to give spoilers. There's a lot of like Who anniversaries coming up this year, and we have plans to cover all of them. So stay tuned for that.
Because we know there's some Doctor Who fans out there. They kind of like anniversaries. Thanks for reminding me. I've got to do the food shopping tomorrow. Says Funky. Never mind, mate. Never mind. And John Steed says, I think things will turn around eventually. It might take a few years. And folks will watch sci-fi again when normality comes back. Well, look, we've got more green shoots showing themselves in that trailer for the Masters of the Universe film that's coming later in the summer. I think it looks fantastic. It looks so much fun. Gary's going to go off and watch the trailer now.
I am actually. Yes, I am.
Which is our sort of cue, really, to turn off the old view screen and head back out into space and time and space. We'll see you for more next time. Make sure you've got the notifications turned on. I'm not sure if that could be the big teal switch over the other side, Peter, but no, as you were, mate. See you next time. Bye-bye.